So, after months of failed negotiations, Athens now lays the burden of decision-making onto the shoulders of the Greek people. Clemens Fust joins us now. He's the president of the Centre for European Economic Research. It's very good to have you here with us today. So, we just heard in this report, people aren't quite sure what to vote in this referendum. Is it really fair to even ask them to do so? It's such a complex matter.
It's a very complex matter, and the Greek government makes it even more complex because it says, you know, here is the proposal. We would like you to vote no. So it's very difficult for the population to say, you know, what should we do? The Greek government says it's not about the euro. Brussels says, yes, it is about the euro. So people are very likely to get confused. In the end, I think there will be a majority for a yes, because people will understand, I believe, that this really is about the euro.
But then this is really just a populist referendum, whatever the outcome, because people can't make an educated decision.
It will be very difficult to make an educated decision. I think this is another strategic move, really, by Tsipras. I guess his plan was to have a no vote and then go back and negotiate again. Now he sees this doesn't work. The population will panic because the banks have been shut down. So it's a very complicated situation.
Do you have a feeling that Alexis Tsipras is jeopardizing Greece in the EU, certainly, or in the euro, certainly, but perhaps even in the European Union?
He certainly is. Grexit, in principle, is only possible if Greece formally leaves the EU. So one of the challenges will be to find a way, you know, if they leave the euro, to at least keep them in the European Union. Tsipras is taking very high risks. He's really jeopardizing his own country.
And maybe just briefly, I mean, if Greece is insolvent, it doesn't get any aid anymore from anywhere, has to leave the euro, what are the alternatives? Because they don't want to leave the euro. They
don't want to leave the euro. It's very difficult to find alternatives. I think there is a slim chance that the Greeks say yes to the offer, that Tsipras resigns, that there will be a new government, that the rest of Europe will say, let's give it another try. I think this would be no guarantee that it works, because Greece needs a completely different economic policy, but it's the only chance.
And of course, even if Tsipras resigns, you never know who comes next in Greece. Well, Clemens Fust, don't go anywhere. We'll continue our talk. And we're back again with Clemens Fust, the president of the Centre for European Economic Research. Now, Greece, of course, would be the first Eurozone member to leave the euro. What are the ramifications for the rest of Europe?
This is a step into the unknown, so we don't really know. I think the most important consequences are for Greece more than for the rest of Europe. The rest of Europe shouldn't be too concerned. There will be no banks failing because banks have stopped, in other countries, have stopped lending to Greece. I don't think there will be an investor panic because, you know, there are firewalls. But this is a very difficult process for Greece. It's not just negative.
Yeah, because in this report now, everything was just really negative and very dire. Is there an upside to it as well?
I think there is an upside. So generally, the competitiveness of the Greek economy in terms of prices would get better. So going on holidays in Greece will be a lot cheaper.
But currently, would people still go right now in this situation? There's a lot of alienation towards Europe. Certainly in the media, you can feel that. Do you think tourism won't be affected?
I think there will maybe a few months of decline in the industry, but then people will come back. But also, you know, other sectors will benefit. Currently, Greece imports even food. Now, there is a Greek food industry. There is an agricultural sector which would become more competitive. So generally, you know, this would bring down prices in Greece and price competitiveness would improve. So this is the upside. Of course, you know, there are many risks, so it's mixed. But
and of course, this would take a long time, the upside, to really kick in. And then, of course, there are a lot of people who were capable of taking all their money out, their euros, and deposit them elsewhere in Europe. If they come back now, they'd be super rich. They'd have all the power.
Yes, they will benefit. So that money has been replaced by the ECB through the liquidity assistance. So the ECB will lose the money and the Greeks will have that money abroad, which is fine now. Unfortunately, I think these are just the rich Greeks, and they have a lot of money anyway. We would like the poor to benefit, and they won't.
Yeah, a better distribution, certainly. Now, what would a Grexit mean for the euro? Because there are experts who say the sooner the better. It would actually strengthen the euro. And then there are others who say that's a real risk for the euro.
I think there certainly is a risk. So people will ask, could it happen to another country? At the same time, the situation in the other countries is different. So there are principles in Europe. If you comply with conditions, you get help from the rest of the eurozone. So I don't think there would be a major damage. But I think there is a damage, and maybe the damage is mostly political, because the question is, what will happen to this country? Will Greece have to leave the European Union and all of that?
Well, that is something that we'll get into after the next report. Clemens Fuß, thank you very much for now. And we're back again one more time with Clemens Fuß, the president of the Centre for European Economic Research. Now, clearly, the European Union and the Eurozone as well is made up of very different nations, very different economies. And the Greek debt crisis certainly has revealed some flaws in this whole setup. Do we have to rethink it?
We do have to rethink it, but I think the way is not to centralize everything and to become all the same. So we will remain different, and the challenge is to construct the Eurozone such that we can be different. And that means if countries go into debt, if someone lends them a lot of money, and there is a problem, the lenders need to lose their money. So we need insolvency procedures for government. We need flexibility to adjust to crisis. Some people say we need more policy coordination, and that's fine, but it will not solve our problems. We cannot dictate everything from Brussels. We need to be able to be different in the euro.
But that's difficult, yeah? I mean, what about the Stability Pact? If it's sort of a voluntary thing that people can adhere to or not, and if they don't, and they go into debt, then the others, because it is a big family, have to come and help. That doesn't seem to work.
We need to change the rules so that we don't need to come and help. If investors know they lose their money, if they lend to highly indebted governments, they will be more prudent, and that's why I think we need banks that lend less to governments and more to companies, so that if there is an insolvency, we can go through with it, and it won't cause a banking crisis. So we need to get into the situation where countries can go bankrupt.
And less state, more real economy.
I totally agree.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.